Hey there, Ross here. The purpose of this video is to help you to develop a plan of meetings for your tiny church, which is going to help you to have less of that burden of week to week. What are we doing? I got to come up with something. It's also going to help the people in your group to know what to expect. Most of all, it's going to help you to live out your purpose, the purpose of a tiny church. So let's start there. I'm going to give you a suggestion, kind of big picture. Then I'm going to give you a few tools to develop that plan, and I'm going to show you how it works. So remember, first of all, whether you use these tools to develop a plan or you develop a plan of your own, first of all, develop a plan. It's better for you, it's better for everybody. Whatever plan you use, do it with the purpose of a tiny church in mind. Do it with the why in mind. The purpose of a tiny church is discipleship. It's to help you and your members grow as disciples of Jesus who help other people know Jesus and grow as disciples of Jesus. That's the big purpose. Another way to look at it, it's to grow in friendship and discipleship in Jesus, or as we've said before, it's to know Jesus and practice his way. That's the ultimate goal. So whatever your plan is, hopefully it fulfills that purpose. So let's talk about a few tools that can help you to develop a plan of 6 weeks or 9 weeks or 12 weeks of meetings. The first tool is called up, in, and out. So up, in, and out are different kinds of meetings that you can put into a plan, again, of 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks. It's really pretty simple. Up meetings are when the emphasis is on you and the group growing in your connection with Jesus through the Holy Spirit by using some spiritual practice. That's going to be the emphasis of your meeting. So this might be a more traditional kind of Bible study or engagement meeting where you're going through a letter or a book in the Bible. It might be when you're doing a prayer exercise together, or you're debriefing a prayer exercise that you did, or a giving challenge that you have, or fasting. An up meeting is when the emphasis is on growing through a spiritual practice. An in meeting is when you're growing in friendship. It could be a fun event. You're going out for a bite to eat, you're having a cookout, you're having a meal, you're doing some kind of fun activity that's simply about you growing in friendship as a group, growing in trust, growing in kind of camaraderie. Whatever it is, it's helping you grow as friends, but also it's an in meeting in the sense that it might make more sense in those meetings to invite a new person. It's going to be easy for them to jump on board in those meetings. Finally, you've got an out meeting, which is more of that service emphasis meeting. This is when you're challenging each other to grow as ordinary missionaries. We think of missionaries as people that go over to another country, but we're all missionaries sent to people in the places where we live, work, learn, and play. This is a meeting where your group might walk a neighborhood and pray and brainstorm about how you're going to serve that neighborhood, an event you might do. Or you might just meet as a group in the church, but to pray and brainstorm about a group of people, a common affinity group, somebody that you're like, man, we want to help this group, and you start to map that out. It might be a time when you've joined up with one of our local partners in your service partnership, and you're going to go serve there. Whatever it is, an out meeting is when you're serving. That's the emphasis of the meeting. Up, in, and out is tool 1. Tool 2 is just like that, just different language. Maybe it's more helpful for you to use this language. Loving God, loving self, loving neighbor. Coming from where Jesus says the 2 greatest commandments of God are to love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Again, you're going to do that in every meeting in one way or another, but you're just going to have some meetings in your plan. They're going to have a different emphasis. So loving God emphasis is a meeting just like an up meeting. You're growing in your connection with Jesus, your relationship with Christ, through some sort of a spiritual practice. A loving self meeting is when the emphasis is on, taking care of each other, having fun together. And also, again, it might make more sense to bring somebody into that meeting. And a loving neighbors meeting is just like an out meeting. So just rewind the video and listen to what I said about an out meeting. Maybe that's better language for you than up in and out. The second tool is love God, love self, love neighbors. The third tool is what we use in a recovery church. It's called SPAFs. S-P-A-F-S, SPAFs. That's our cycle of meetings. It stands for story, practices, accountability, fun, and service. It's just a way, again, for us to know what to expect. We're not going to do the same thing every meeting. We're going to have some meetings that are story meetings, where we're going to feature the story of transformation of somebody in our group. You can do the same thing. You can have a meeting where you're going to listen to somebody in your group share 20 or 30 minutes about how God has been at work in their lives in the last year or in the last 5 years. You're going to listen to God through that story, have questions and conversations based on it. That's a story night. A practices night is basically an up night or a loving God night. You're going to go through a spiritual practices, through a spiritual practice. An accountability night is when you're going to do a deep soul check-in. For Recovery Church, we have a set of questions that we recycle, that we go through, such as, how is it with your soul? Each member goes around and does a deep check-in at a soul, at a heart level. A fun night is just like it sounds. Tonight, the group is doing duck pin bowling and eating. It's just a time to remind each other that recovery is fun. Following Jesus is fun. Transformation is good and joyful. And then finally, the S is service. So just like an out meeting or just like a loving neighbors meeting, it's when the emphasis is on serving. The third tool is SPAFs. Story, practices, accountability, fun, service. The fourth and last tool is Acts 2, 42 to 47. This is just where you're going to look at Acts 2, 42 to 47 and pay attention to what the very first church was devoted to. In the Common English Bible, it literally says they were devoted to, and it lays out several practices, such as paying attention to the apostles' teaching, like engaging the Bible. There's one of your meetings. They were devoted to prayer. That can be another meeting where you're learning about prayer, you're practicing prayer. It says they were devoted to breaking bread. Yes. So again, just a meeting to eat a meal. Eat a meal as often as you can together. It says they were devoted to basically giving. They were devoted to the community. So again, you can use Acts 2, 42 to 47 to say, okay, we're going to have a meeting that's focused on that, a meeting focused on that, and there you go, you got a plan. Acts 2:42 to 47 is that fourth tool. Let me show you how it works. Let's say I'm developing a 6-week plan based on up, in, and out. So I could say, okay, we're going to have two up meetings, weeks 1 and 2, up, up. We're going to have an in meeting. We're just going to get together and we're going to have a cookout. That's week 3. Week 4 is going to be an out, where we're going to go walk a neighborhood next to the church. We're going to pray with each other, brainstorm together, listen to God teach us, like, how do we build relationships in this neighborhood, love these people here? That's going to be week 4. Week 5 is going to be another up meeting. And then week 6 is going to be another in. So I think I said up, up, in, out, up, in. I don't know if that's what I said, but do you see how it works? And then you can go in and fill in some details. And there you go, just like that. You've got a simple plan to work from for the next 6, 9, 12 weeks. You know what to expect. Your people know what to expect. Most of all, you're going to have a dynamic culture, and it's going to help you to live out the mission of a tiny church. Let me know how I can be helpful to you. Thanks for what you're doing to serve and to lead.